This is really a super place. The art is phenomenal. The day could not have been nicer, and here we all are. I want to tell you a little bit more about our hostess. She just kind of skimmed over a few things. And I've written it down because it is a mouthful, and I am not a scientist, physician, or any in that field, so I have a hard time with these words. But Kenny received her BA in biochemistry in 1976, magna cum laude, of course. Her MD and PhD in biochem from the Medical College of Virginia. She is a medical oncologist and tumor biologist who is president-elect of the prestigious Federation of American Societies for Experimental Biology, and she is president of SolutraMed Group Incorporated, a medical and life science consulting company. In that capacity, she has completed this project as a founding director of the Mission Health System Cancer Center. Are we not lucky here in Brevard and in Asheville and in Hendersonville, this whole area, to have this phenomenal person here? From 2007 to 2010, she served on the faculty of Emory University School of Medicine, the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, and Harvard Medical School. Well, I think this has got to be more than one person, actually, but it really is. And what her CV does not include is that she has a wonderful sense of humor, a fine, sharp wit, and her generosity in opening her beautiful gallery for all of us. It doesn't mention her culinary skills either, nor the fact that she's a cycling enthusiast. Now, the rest you're going to have to find out on your own. So many, many thanks to you, Kenny, and to you, Russ, for your generosity and this gift of a very special afternoon. This is stupendous.
Well, I would like to invite, to thank you all for coming to Artetude. I'm Kenny Offermann. I've met most, but not all of you. I'm class of 76. We won't say how many years ago that was. But I'm one of the co-owners of Artetude with my husband, Dr. Russell Medford, who is class of Cornell 76, and our photographer. So we're pleased to have you here at Artetude. Now, I'll tell you a little bit about the genesis of both Artetude and of this event here, and I'll start with the event here. So Nancy Mathiasen and I met each other in Atlanta less than a year ago. She's a new development officer for Mount Holyoke, class of 77. And we really hit it off. It was a wonderful meeting. And I was telling her about me as a physician scientist and I guess a little bit about mother and wife, but then said, oh, and by the way, we just opened up an art gallery in Asheville, North Carolina. And so North Carolina is also part of her district. And so she ended up visiting North Carolina, and so she was saying, wouldn't it be fun to have an alumni event at Artetude? And so thank you, Nancy, because you are the person who thought of bringing us all together today. And by meeting Nancy, then she introduced me to a couple of other people that reminded me of how much I miss my friends from Mount Holyoke. So I met Michelle next, who is class of 89, and Michelle lives here in Asheville, and she and her husband Ken, so they're flanking here. So have a art studio business, with Michelle being the business person and Ken the artist here in Asheville. And she's been very generous with sharing her perspective of starting a business in Asheville, because we opened in June, so we're less than a year old. And so but it felt like I was meeting someone who I had known for years when we got together, and so that was a lot of fun. And she also offered to contact some people and invite them to the event. So then I talked on the phone with Mary Dryselius, who is class of 66. And so Mary had offered to call some people, but lo and behold, in the process of my talking to her, somehow I think I invited us over to dinner at her house. And so got to meet her and her husband Jan, and then another Mount Holyoke couple, Margaret Napier and her husband Gus. And I think that was one of the most intellectually stimulating, fun evenings filled with good food and drink, and we just had a wonderful time. And afterwards it was kind of like, she goes, well, we are sisters, and it was just reminding me on what a special place Mount Holyoke is and continues to be. And so I went there as a very naive 18-year-old kid from Richmond, Virginia, back in the early 70s. And I had gone to public schools, and it was very uncool to be a smart woman. And so then kind of found myself at Mount Holyoke around all of these incredibly intelligent, accomplished, and fun and nice people. And it was actually a little bit intimidating. It's just like, am I going to be able to live up to that standard? Well, I continue to keep in close touch with my close circle of friends from Mount Holyoke, and I've done pretty well professionally. So Mount Holyoke helped me develop as a person. And so I came to Asheville. My professional career has been as a physician and scientist, and came to Asheville as the medical director for the Mission Cancer Center. But my husband Russ and I have always had a love for the art, and there's such a connection between the art and the science that John will be talking about. When my time at Mission, it was a full-time consulting position, so it was ending in March of 2012. And for full disclosure, the sculptors here are Russ's sister and brother-in-law. And so that was really one of the major considerations on us opening the gallery. But we are art lovers and art collectors, and it wasn't just a family thing. It's like, if we were going to do it, we wanted to do it right. And so we have our transplants to Asheville. We still have our home in Atlanta, but we love it here, and we want to make this very successful. We value the artist, the art collector, the art, and I would say that Mount Holyoke really did a pretty good job on instilling all of those appreciations in me as a person, and allowing me to connect with people who also share those passions. So I've already met a lot of wonderful people through my new association with Mount Holyoke in Western North Carolina. And so now I'm going to turn the program over to Mary, who's going to introduce our featured speaker. And I'll later introduce you. We do have one of our artists here, who's our photographer, Robert Assman, who I'll tell you about a little bit at the end. So.